So I'm heading out and I was just kind of looking around the area. And I come across a nice little block road. You know, this is the year 2018 forest and deer season, and I just moved back to Missouri from Oregon. Been hanging out with my good buddy Clint Underwood. Clint grew up on some property out in Rogersville, Missouri that his mom lives on 22 acres.
Yep.
And then it's surrounded by another
450 that we used to own that has been sold after my father passed away. I grew up about 100 yards from where our stands were, and so I got to see the house that I grew up in every day that we went out hunting, so it was a pretty special place. But it's about 500 acres total.
And the 500, you know, we have access to, but really, if we only had access to the 22, that's really all we were hunting because that's all we had access to start the season. You know, Clint's mom's house, beautiful house there built on the east side of the property, and then it's a long, skinny piece of property that runs down to the back of the property, a couple ponds, and then to the south side, there's a large patch of timber. And these deer, from what we can tell, are using this large patch of timber for bedding and then coming out into the fields to feed. Clint and I hunted hard. Man, I was blowing his phone up, you know, once we got these stands put up. You know, we went out there in September.
September it started.
And it was hot. I was sweating, Jesse was sweating, Clint was sweating, and hung a couple ladder stands. Alright guys, so we're picking this big tree here on the corner of this fence line coming down from Clint's mom's, and then there's another creek bottom along this fence line that leads to the biggest water source on the property. So we're going to put our ladder stand up here, and then another thing we like about it is it looks over all of this open field that Clint owns, this pasture, so during rifle season we'll be able to hunt it as well. Put out some corn, put out some cameras, and we just crossed our fingers, man. You know, if you shot a spike buck, I was gonna be thrilled.
In all the years that I've lived out there, we never saw like big bucks roaming around. We saw does around. So whenever we put up these game cameras, we really didn't know what we were going to expect. We didn't know what was out there. And it seemed like every time that we checked the cameras or we went out there, it seemed like we got a little bit further or a little bit closer to finding our dream buck.
We were hunting really hard, and we didn't even know this buck that we ended up calling Casper was in the area. And we had actually hunted probably 2 weeks, 4 days a week, really hard, couple sits a day. It's November 2nd, first sit in 3 weeks. I've been out in Washington. I couldn't get Clint out of bed this morning. I want to shoot a big doe, fill the freezer, get some deer chili. I had 2 in before daylight, real early. I couldn't even hardly see them. So I'm just waiting out this rain. Hopefully it stops. They got to get up and feed. It's been raining. So it's early in the season. Alright, so I'm heading out and I was just kind of looking around the area. And I come across a nice little buck rub. November 2nd. It's the evening of the morning I hunted and froze my ass off. And we've got a buck scrape at 45 yards. We just hung some scent, some buck attractant, sprayed some doe estrus. It's dry but cool, windy, just enough wind. So across our acres today, and we had a smaller 7-point cruise us. We had an encounter with a bobcat, got some really cool footage of that. We had a doe come in that Clint could have shot at 45 yards and ultimately decided to pass on. And, we were having a good time. And so then one day, we'd been seeing some coyotes and stuff, and the landowner was complaining about a lot of coyotes. And so I said, hey, let's go out there. Let's try to call some coyotes in today and let's shoot a coyote. We grabbed the cards like we normally did. We climbed up in the deer stand and we got the call ready to go. Got a rifle, and I said, let's check these cards real quick, and then we'll start calling. And so I popped this card in, and we're scrolling through, and I mean, this thing was a skyscraper.
It was at night, and so all you see is just this very, very tall rack, and we were checking it in our stand.
Yeah.
On that day, on his phone, and that day we didn't even end up coyote.
Oh yeah.
Because after we saw that, we're like, all right, we're not going to take a chance of spooking this guy out of here.
Yeah, of course. When we saw Casper, I'm like, well, pack your stuff. We're heading out of here. And so we did. We got down that day and we walked out. And we went home, and I dropped the footage on the computer. We kept looking at it again. And as you guys know, as deer hunters, man, how excited you could be to be scrolling through your thumbnails on your phone and see a buck like this, of this caliber. So anyway, that lit a new fire under us. And we had an encounter with our first encounter with Casper. We didn't get on film, and here's how it went down. Our buddy Brady Cantrell was coming in town, and normally Clint and I'd be in stand by between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, Brady being Brady, Brady's late. And so Brady says, hey, I'll be in by 3, and we didn't get out there till 3:30, I don't think. And so I made a joke in the group chat, well, we can wave at the deer as we're walking out there. And sure enough, we're walking out. We're all 3 walking out, and it's like we saw him at the same time. We just dropped. And here's Casper cruising the fence line at 40 yards on a doe. Me and Clint ducked down, go to the stand that we could play right with the wind, and hope he came back that night. So we did that. We sit in the corner stand, and he never comes back. But Brady's texting us the whole time. He's sitting up at the farmhouse against the tree and watching Casper chase this doe in the next pasture all over this field. And all in all, he didn't ever come back that night. But that was the first time.
That was the first time we saw him in person.
And so we knew he was there. And then another thing is we've got footage of him from that day right under the stand we just moved. And he was there at 3 o'clock. And we showed up. You'll see us on camera at 3:30. We saw him. And so I checked that card, and sure enough, there he was. And he kept walking where we ended up seeing him. We kind of got this. What was neat about it is the second encounter when we shot Casper. We were out of the tree stand, and we were walking out early because it was my daughter's birthday. We just knew it that day. It just felt right, and
warmer.
It was warm. Yeah, it just felt right, and we knew we had to get down. So I was like, man, on the way out of here, let's just take our time, and we'll glass every couple steps. And we stopped at the gate. We looked, and there was 4 does up in the corner. And what we learned that this buck was on one of these does in this group of 4. So that was kind of a neat thing because we knew when we saw this group of 4 does, he was somewhere. It wasn't like, is that the doe he's with? And so when we saw these 4 does, we knew he had to been close. We're working our way out, and I think it was the 3rd or 4th time we stopped to glass, and we're down in the bottom, luckily. And I look, and it was like I looked through my binos, and some of you guys have done this. You look right at that buck. I looked through my binos, and there he is, full frame, looking straight at us.
I got leaned up against the tree, kneeling, and offhand, and I asked Wes because I wanted to take the opportunity, but I wanted it to be the right opportunity. So I remember asking him, should I take the shot if I have it? And I'll never forget, he goes, yeah, man, if you got the shot, take it. take it?
Yes, if you got him. Shoot him. Shoot him.
No. Matt! Twice. And he stopped and looked over. And I remember looking through the scope and seeing how beautiful he really was. And that whole moment became so surreal that, like, I wasn't thinking about anything else. And it was an experience a feeling that I've never had before. And so I fired at that moment, a second after he let out the call. And we kind of saw him hop off into the woods a little bit.
What just happened?
Well, we were watching a couple does out here in the field that we've seen him in. And all of a sudden I saw a deer walk behind the thicket towards the doe with her toe straight up in the air. And then he appeared. He kind of sensed something, so he started turning back around. And at the last second, Wes gave him the call and he stopped. I had my crosshairs right on his shoulder, and so I took the shot.
Alright guys, so we're sitting on the ground by our stand and we've got a shot right up, I'll show you, right up the tree line. And we worked in with the wind and these does came by 15 yards. And I've got a bunch of branches in front of me and this buck's so important to me, I wasn't even worried about getting this on camera. It happened really fast. He came out behind the pond and he turned back around and he started going to the trees. I told Clint to get on him, and when he was on him, I said I was going to stop him. I mewed and he stopped and Clint made the shot. Please God that it looked like he hit him good. He was doing that head down, that trying to run, scrape in the front almost. So we're going to give it a minute. We're going to go check for blood.
Please, Lord.
Oh God, cross our fingers.
You know, a little bit more about the moment of when we shot this deer. And so I throw up those binos and he's full frame and Clint, freeze, don't move. And they're all looking at us. And, you know, as a hunter, you know that even though you might feel like you're pegged, if you hold still and camouflage does its job. And so they didn't know what we were. I think they were aware there was something there, but we were down on the draw enough that he didn't really know. And so the doe finally said, the heck with this, I'm out of here. And so she takes off, and he's still just dead staring at us. And it was almost like he's saying, well, I'm just getting out here to the field. Like, we got the field for the night. We're about to party. Like, where are you going? You could tell he didn't want to leave. The doe spooked or kind of trotted off. She didn't really bust out of there. So he was wanting to hang out. So he kept coming a little bit. Well, at some point he turned right, and at that point you and I made a move, and we ducked up behind this group of trees, we probably cut 30 yards, got Clint leaned against the tree like he said, and this buck, you'll see in camera, and I apologize about the footage, I was shaking, we had just dropped down, I'm trying to film, you know, trying to also get him in line for a shot and pay attention where this buck is. And you'll see just briefly through the footage this buck trotting. You'll see his antlers over the horizon, and Clint, you know, aiming down the scope. And there was really one spot that deer could have stopped. And he stopped in the perfect spot. And he comes up over what is a pond, and he stops on top of this bank, and he turns, like Clint said, and he looks right at us. Clint gets him in the scope, and so that's how it went down. That deer, he gave us just enough time.
Wes always told me whenever we were hunting, you have to do absolutely everything right in order to get a deer, and then you have to also get very lucky on top of that. And I want to be very clear, this is my first time ever deer hunting with anyone, and thankfully I had someone that had a lot of experience to help me and kind of teach me what to do, or else I could have never done this.
What is it? Just a tiny, tiny drop of blood. Watch out where you're walking. Yeah. Alright guys, so we just found a nick of blood, and we're taking a few more steps. Watch that go.
Yeah, and so we got up there on the blood trail and got to where I thought he was standing, and I mean, there was a nick of blood. I'm talking a pin drop of blood.
Wes found 1 drop of blood on 1 blade of grass.
Yeah, tiny little drop. And so we marked it, had Clint take off his orange, set it there, and sure enough, we walk another 15 yards, boom, we've got good blood. And so we go to the edge of the timber. I'm like, look, if we can see him, we'll go. If not, we're going to back out. There's no hurry.
I feel like I could hear him still in there.
And you may have. He wasn't but 50 yards into the timber, but we backed out. I wanted to get my buddies there. We got Jesse there with the camera. We got Jeremy to come help us, my wife's cousin's husband. You know, we wanted some people to be there. We were pretty confident we were going to find him right in there, which we did.
We're going to try to go until he's alive and he's liver shot. Oh, no way.
No way, dude.
Guys, really? Yep. Fucking A, buddy.
Oh, his belly right there. Oh my god.
There he is, boys. What do you think of that? Yeah. What do you think? Get in there, dude. Put that head up, dude. Put your hands on it. Keep behind you. Wow. Get rid of that light. We got another light here.
Dude, that's massive.
Congratulations, buddy. Wow. Deer of a lifetime.
Man, thanks be to God.
Good shot.
He's so much bigger in person. Yeah, he's gonna have a massive. That's what I'm saying. You guys are hanging with him. Right. He ain't go far. Like that.
I've never hunted before, and you know, you see a lot of things on social media about guys. They say, oh, I got to my stand today and had this buck come right underneath my feet. Well, I'm thankful that this first buck I got was so hard because we put so much work into it and so many trips to the field. There were times that we were sitting in our stand sweating, and there were times that we were sitting in our stand shivering from the temperature changes throughout the season, changing from summer to fall, fall to winter. So I want everyone to be clear that like this was not like some easy thing. I always took for granted how easy it was. I thought, oh, this can't be that hard. You see pictures of it every day, all day. But it really does. You have to do everything right. You have to get lucky, and then the stars have to align just right.
Mm-hmm. You know, it was a pretty special buck for you, and his first buck ever. It's going to be hard to top.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun being able to hunt with one of your friends. Most time you go to a stand, you're sitting there by yourself, and so it was fun sitting with Wes and having him teach me the right and wrong way to hunt.
Well, you know, and that's one of my favorite things about hunting is that I actually had more fun going with him and not carrying a gun than I've had on a lot of my own hunts. And you know, you can see in the pictures here, this is Kyle Westbrook's. You know, he spent countless days with me to help me kill that animal and help me kill a bear. And so it was, you know, something I really wanted to do for Clint, because a lot of people have done it for me, and I think you can all appreciate that with hunting. We still have this property. We're gonna be putting in a food plot. We've got some young bucks on camera that really mimic Casper. I mean, they look just like him, but they're about 2 years old. So we think here in the next couple of years, we're gonna have some pretty stud bucks coming out of this property, and we want you guys to follow along. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can keep up with these updates. We'll try to get Clint to build an Instagram page back out. You know, he's getting kind of old, so he doesn't care about that stuff. He doesn't look that old, but he's old. He's ancient. You know?
So the last thing I want to do is thank Wes, thank Modern Outdoor Media for capturing this special moment for me. Thank my mom for allowing us to hunt her land still, and JD Fielden for allowing us to, you know, hunt a part of his property as well over there now. So thank you to everyone that helped make it happen.
Hey, what a first deer. I'd say it's gonna be hard to beat.
Yeah, tough shoes to fill after that first one.